Hey guys, Dr. Lester here today, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about what is applied kinesiology. This is my dominant technique, and sometimes we call it AK for short, and it's just a really kind of complicated technique that nobody has a super great explanation for, so I'm going to try and clear it up. Bear with me. So AK is really a searching technique rather than an actual adjustment technique, but it has a lot of adjustments that come with it, that with types of things that you can do differently to make an adjustment slightly different than what you would normally be taught in, like, say, diversified or Gonstead or whatever. But it really truly works with whatever technique, adjusting technique that you use. It is also another way that people refer to it is called muscle testing. And muscle testing is kind of different than AK because you might go to your physical therapist and get muscle tested. And what they're doing is actually usually an orthopedic test. This test is to test how strong your muscle is on a gradient scale or a sliding scale of, like, okay, strong, super strong, weak. Like that kind of thing. Can it hold it up against gravity or not? That kind of difference versus AK is more looking specifically at, does the muscle contract? Can it turn on? So AK only asks one question, not so much of what is the gradient of strength or weakness, rather, does it work? Does it not work? Is it on? Is it off? Does it contract? Does it not contract? Those kinds of things. So it kind of comes at it from a slightly different perspective than traditional physical therapy and whatnot does. I can definitely talk a little bit more about this. I believe we talk a little bit about it in the postural analysis video that I did because it's a different mentality in general. But so the muscle testing that you will see there in AK is different than the muscle testing that you might experience in a PT or medical doctor's office. So with that said, applied kinesiology is really just this idea of asking your subconscious questions that your conscious mind doesn't recognize. So let me give you an example. When you are walking around outside, you're taking a hike, and you're on a rocky road or whatnot, and your foot's going like this all over the place because you're trying to accommodate to the rocky road, right? You're not actively thinking about all of the things that it would take to know that your foot has to accommodate to this. All of the pressure receptors that are coming up through your foot and saying, got to move this way, which means that we got to balance our knee this way and our hip this way and all of this so you don't get hurt. But your brain is doing that whole time. It's kind of like that when you think about breathing or you think about when you're running that pace, when you think about it, you screw it up, that kind of thing. So with AK, we're actually trying to tap into your subconscious to say, okay, yes, this is what you're showing me. This is what the conscious mind is presenting me. What is going on subconsciously with the rest of the body? And you can do that through muscle testing by creating a baseline of positive understanding, just so you know where the system is, and say, like, okay, this is constantly a yes. This is what the body always shows for this person. Now, when I add stressors or when I draw the brain's attention to something by touching it, usually, what does it change that baseline, basically? So I will try and give an example. It's definitely one of those techniques that you either have to feel or to see, mostly feel, to really understand it, because otherwise it just kind of looks like craziness. But I promise you that when you feel it, it is a totally different thing. It's just eye-opening. The doubt just kind of disappears with it. So it's gonna get a little confusing, so bear with me. So normally I am testing a strong muscle. So that's my baseline, right? So I'm going to use your arm or your leg, and I'm going to test it just to see what kind of strength you have there, okay? So I test it. Let's say I'm testing your arm and I push it down and your arm contracts and it can hold it up, right? No problem, no issues for you, beautiful. So I'm gonna use this arm to then use as my baseline. So now let's say I have suspicions that your rib cage is part of the problem. So I'm gonna have you now touch your rib cage with your other arm. I don't have enough arms here. I'm gonna have you touch your rib cage with your other arm, and I'm going to, again, muscle test you. And if it doesn't change, so if it was strong and it's still strong, then there's not a problem in that specific area that you were touching, or maybe it's in a different part of it. Maybe it's more an organ part of it, or acupuncture meridian part of it, kind of thing. However, if it was originally strong and now it goes weak, that's telling me that there's a problem there. So then I can ask more questions to find out, what else do I need to know about this problem? What direction do I need to take it to fix it? What do I need to supplement to fix it? What movement is better? That kind of thing. So you can ask your body a lot of different questions to then go fix it. And then once you fix it, so I go in and I find out, let's say, that my rib cage is shifted this way and I need to take it this way. So then I adjust it and I fix it down, and I'm going to go back and retest. I'm going to put your hand on that sternum right there, and I'm going to muscle test you again. And if it's still weak, we got some problems still to fix, but if it's strong, then we fixed it. And you're at least balanced for now, and hopefully it stays that way. So it's really, really asking the subconscious mind. And it's not... the problem with applied kinesiology is a lot of practitioners, they have not been tested on it thoroughly, so they don't do consistent muscle testing. And if you don't do consistent muscle testing, then you change your baseline. So when the patient is having mistakes or trying to cheat or whatnot, and they don't even realize that they're trying to cheat, but they might be flexing their foot to help prevent, engaging other muscles basically to prevent you from pushing it down. You might not catch that if you're not regularly consistent and you haven't been trained appropriately with AK to do that. So a lot of times when people talk about how AK didn't work for them or whatnot, it might be more that they haven't actually trained to the level to do that, because it does take a lot of consistency to really learn how to master a muscle test and be consistent and thorough with it. Because if the practitioner is not consistent, then neither is the test or the patient's treatment or any of that. That goes across the board. That goes with research. That goes with everything, So I hope that cleared a little bit up. We can use AK to do all sorts of things. We can test musculoskeletal stuff, or we can test organ stuff, or nutrition, acupuncture meridians, all sorts of fun things like that. That are just super helpful, because sometimes that pain is coming from an organ. Sometimes it's coming from needing an acupuncture. You just never know. So it's a really, really good searching tool. Again, I encourage you to come in and feel it, because it's hard to explain it without feeling it. But once you do, it becomes much more clear as to what we're doing, and much less sounding like a voodoo. Anyways, I hope that helps you guys. AK is a fantastic technique, and I super love it, and I think you're going to love it too once you see what it can do. Thanks, guys.